What is a business? It seems like a pretty simple question, right? But the answer you get, well, it actually reveals a whole lot about how you see the entire world of commerce, profit, and purpose. So let's dive in.
So let's just ask it straight up. What is a business? I bet your first thought is something like a company that sells stuff to make money. And look, you're not wrong, but that's really just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. Because the real answer, it depends entirely on who you ask.
The thing is, there's no single, simple definition of a business. It's really more of a collection of competing ideas. To truly understand it, we've got to look at it from a few different angles. And each one shows us a totally different face of what a business is, and maybe more importantly, what it's for.
Okay, so let's start with the fundamentals. We'll kick things off with the definitions you're most likely to run into, the ones that really form the foundation of our whole understanding.
First up is the classic. The one you'd find on page 1 of any Intro to Business course. This perspective zeroes in purely on the commercial purpose of a business.
And there it is, an organization engaged in commercial activities to provide goods or services to consumers for a profit. It's clear, it's concise, it's direct. It's all about providing something of value, goods or services, with the main goal of making a profit. This is our baseline, the most common way to think about what a business does.
But hang on, what is a business actually made of? I mean, if we only focus on profit, a business is kind of just a black box, right? Money goes in and hopefully more money comes out. Well, the functional definition is what cracks that box wide open for us.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how it shifts our focus from the why to the what. See, a business isn't just some abstract idea. It's a living, breathing system with all these interlocking parts. We're talking about the marketing team, the finance folks, the people in operations, all of them working together to make the whole thing run.
All right, now we're getting to the really juicy part. This is where we move from just describing what a business is to debating what it should be. Is a business just for making money, or is it for something more? This is the big debate.
And in this corner, we have the heavyweight champion of the profit-first argument, the Nobel Prize-winning economist Milton Friedman, who just laid it out there, plain and simple. A company's only duty is to its owners, the shareholders. And man, this one idea completely dominated business thinking for the entire back half of the 20th century.
And this right here lays out the conflict perfectly. On the left, you have the shareholder view. It's simple. Maximize profit for the owners. Period. But on the right, the stakeholder view presents a pretty radical alternative. It argues that a business is responsible not just to its owners, but to everyone it touches, its employees, its customers, the community, and even the environment.
So this is the modern-day challenge to Friedman's whole philosophy. In this view, a business is a social institution first and a financial one second. Its real purpose is to solve a problem for society, and it uses profit as the fuel to keep the engine running, to keep on solving that problem.
And this is the absolute crucial point here. It's all about reframing profit. In the stakeholder model, profit isn't the goal. It's just a necessary condition for survival. Think of it like oxygen is for us. We all need to breathe to live, but I don't think any of us would say that breathing is the purpose of our life. For these businesses, profit is the means, not the mission.
Okay, let's shift gears for our final perspective. This one kind of steps back from that big ideological fight and looks at a business from a more mechanical point of view. It asks a really simple question. How does this thing actually work?
Yeah, this is how a strategist or an operations manager would see it. To them, a business is essentially a transformation machine. It takes a bunch of inputs, raw materials, labor, cash, and through its own special process, it turns them into something way more valuable. The flow here is super straightforward. You start with your inputs. The business itself is that transformation engine in the middle. And what comes out the other side has to be worth more than what you put in. That difference, that's the value the business just created.
And I absolutely love this takeaway because it's so sharp, so clear. If you spend more on your inputs than you get for your outputs, you don't have a business. You have a very, very expensive hobby or maybe a charity. The creation of value is just non-negotiable.
So, where does all this leave us? We've looked at a bunch of different competing definitions. So, which one's the right one? Well, the most powerful way to understand it isn't about picking one. It's about seeing how they all have to fit together.
So let's just do a quick recap. We've got the business as a commercial activity, as a system of departments, as a financial engine for its owners, a social institution for its community, and a process that creates value.
Every single one of these is true, but each one is also an incomplete picture on its own.
And this, right here, is the big takeaway from our whole explainer. A truly great business, one that's built to last, doesn't just pick one of these identities. It has to live in the tension between all of them. It has to be an efficient value creation system and a well-run organization so that it can be both a financial engine for its shareholders and a positive social institution for its stakeholders.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you look at any company, I don't care if it's your local coffee shop or some massive global tech giant, ask yourself, how well are they actually balancing all of these competing identities? Are they just a machine for making money, or are they building something truly lasting? The answer to that, well, it tells you pretty much everything you need to know.